In this video, I would like to talk about how to write an introduction for a thesis or a manuscript that is intended to be sent for publication in one of the medical journals. First, let us agree that the title of a subject usually captures the eyes and invites the reader to read the subject. And in the medical publications, usually there is an abstract which summarizes the whole topic. It gives a good idea about the whole topic. While in the other hand, the introduction, it invites the mind. It shows the roadmap of the study and the importance, the significance, the rationale of the study, how it fills knowledge gap, and it reflects mastery of writing of scientific work. So writing an introduction is very important, but there are some differences here and there between the introduction of the manuscript and the introduction of the thesis. As I said, the title captures the eyes and the abstract summarizes the topic, while the introduction captures the mind and it encourages reading the subject. What are the functions of the introduction? The introduction usually it explains the relevance and justifications and significance of the research. It starts with a striking sentence leading to some citations from a recent, relevant, and authentic literature, which will be synthesized to come up with, to show the knowledge gap and how the study will deal with that knowledge gap. It reflects critical thinking in the literature, a synthesis of the literature to come up with a clear knowledge gap and how to fill that knowledge gap. And when we speak about knowledge gap, we mean the area which is ambiguous, the area which is needed, the area which is absent, the area which is a challenge for us, for example, in our practice. So, the knowledge gap is what is missing, what is unclear, and what is debated, what is needed, what makes a challenge, for example, in our clinical practice. And in writing a manuscript, usually I describe it, it looks like our local water pots, which are made up of mud burned to become strong and or made of clay. And it usually has got a very wide neck and a wide opening, and the wide neck leads to a big belly that narrows towards the base. So in this opening, in the wide opening, we should write an opening with a striking sentence that invites, that captures the eyes and the brain and the mind, and it invites one to read, at least complete to read the introduction itself. So we can start with something like the prevalence or the incidence of this disease or the mortality of this disease is such a high figure that it invites people, it attracts people to read. And we continue producing literature. The citations usually differ. In the manuscript for publication, it is usually about 2 or 3, maximum 5. It depends on the information for authors written in the specific journal. Some journals, they need about 300 words in the introduction, and some journals extend it to 300 words, and few journals make it up to 500 words, in which we can use 3, 4, at maximum 5 citations to strengthen our argument, to extract a knowledge gap, and how are we going to fill this knowledge gap. However, in the thesis, usually we can write up to 15 citations. We can synthesize literature from 15 citations, good synthesis, to come up with a clear knowledge gap. And our pivotal area is that knowledge gap, from which we are going to state the problem of the study which we are going to deal with, and the questions of the study. Before writing the questions in the thesis, usually we write postulations, we write hypotheses, that how are we going to solve the problems, or how are we going to fill this knowledge gap from this recent authentic literature. Here we should mention clearly our rationale, why we are doing this study to fill this gap, and what methodology will give us the justification that we are going to end up with the most appropriate results, and the significance, and what is the significance of our study, which will be who is going to benefit from this study. Then we continue with writing, as I said, the hypotheses and the objectives. After writing the questions of the study, the hypothesis of the study, the objectives should be SMART. And by SMART, it means that the objectives should be measurable, it should be specific, measurable, attainable, achievable, reproducible if the research is repeated in the same environment, should be reliable and relevant. And the objectives should have a time limit to be executed. And then we come to the narrow base, in which we write the boundaries of our studies. Where and when are we going? The boundaries in time and in place. Where are we going to do this study? When are we going to do this study? In which period? And what type of a study? The main type of a study, for example, is it a prospective study? Is it a retrospective study? Is it a randomized control study that needs meticulous work and special permissions and consents and these things? Or is it just a case series or a cross-sectional study or cohort study or whatever? Just as one statement at the bottom, at the extreme bottom. So, in the thesis, the introduction can take up to 3 to 5 pages, that it will be about 1,500 words up to 3,000 words, while in the manuscript it will be only very short, extending according to the journal, which will be written in the journal pages and the information for authors. Usually it is about 250 up to 300, but it might extend to 400, and in few journals, as I said before, it might reach up to 500. So in the thesis, we can use up to 15 citations to synthesize 15 citations of recent authentic literature, while in the manuscript we can use only 2, 3, maximum 5 as the space will allow us, as the number of words will allow us. And this is important. This is what is accepted by the World Association of Medical Editors and by the International Committee of Medical Journal Editors. And now let us recapitulate again the components, the constituents of the introduction. It is usually made up of a background, striking statements, followed by recent authentic literature, citation number according to the type, is it in a manuscript or is it in a thesis, and we extract, we synthesize the literature to come up with a knowledge gap. To fill that knowledge gap, we should mention our rationale, our rationale, and our justification and significance and the research questions. And as we come down to the bottom, we write in the thesis hypothesis, but in the manuscript we can go directly to the objectives, which should be smart, and then the boundaries in time and place, and then in one word what type of a study we are going to do. So the thesis introduction is foundational because it reflects mastery of writing of scientific work and mastery of recent literature arguments, synthesis. And it shows the roadmap, the problem, justification, question, hypothesis, objectives, and so on and so forth. 3 words I would like to stop at and clarify them, because some people, they have some confusion about these words. And these are the rationale, the justification, and the significance. When we speak about rationale, we mean why we are doing this study. We are doing it to solve the knowledge gap, the knowledge problem. And we said the knowledge gap is the area which we are in need of, the area which is ambiguous, the area which is challenging in practice. This area, how are we going to deal with it, is the rationale. And the word rationale is written with E. When it is written with E, means why we are doing this work. We are answering this question, why. The rationale is why we are doing it. And in the pronunciation, we extend the last vowel letters, the last A, rationale. But when the word is written without E, it is rational. It is rational. We extend the first A after the R, rational. Rational means justifiable, means logical. Logical orders, rational talk means acceptable talk. So the word is rational and rationale. And here we are speaking about rationale, not rationale as some people pronounce it. It is rationale. We extend the last A, the last vowel letter. Now the justification is about the method, the method. Why we are using this method? To give us the appropriate answer. This is a justification. Why this design of the study? Why prospective? Why retrospective? Why cross-sectional? Why cohort? Why randomized controlled study? Why this methodology? To give us an appropriate answer. The significance means who is going to benefit? What benefits this study will come up with? Is the healthcare service going to benefit from this study? Are the healthcare providers, are the people who are going to benefit from this study, that they are going to make plans or strategies or they are going to make some guidelines or local protocols? Are the persons who are going to benefit from this study, the significance of the study? Will it improve the patient safety? The patients will benefit. So the significance about who is going to benefit from this study. What the study will add and what benefit this study will bring. Now in the manuscript, the same issues, but it looks like a portable water pump with like in the shape, a long narrow neck. Again, it is made of clay or something like that, and it can be held by one hand. It contains some water. It has a narrow, long neck, and it has got a small opening. In that opening, we should write again a striking sentence that invites the eyes, it captures the eyes and the brain to read, to keep reading the introduction. At least if one is convinced after reading the instruction, we'll continue reading the whole subject. So we would like a statement that will capture the eyes, captures the brain, will invite people, and this will lead us to the rest of the authentic recent literature, which is usually about 2 or 3 citations, and we should write them in our own words. We should write them in our own words, not copy and paste. Copy and paste means plagiarism. The work will be rejected. We should not copy and paste. So, from that, we go towards the small belly, writing about the knowledge gap, the synthesis from the literature, and we write about our problem statement, that is the rationale and the importance or significance of the study, and the main question of the study in the manuscript, the main question, and the objectives, and probably one word about the design of the study. The manuscript introduction, it justifies the publication if it is written in a nice way, in a scholarly way. It will justify the publication, provided the rest of the material is written perfectly well. It should start with a striking, relevant piece of literature, and mention the knowledge gap, mention the problem, importance of the study, the aim, and end up with at the base with at the end with the type of the study. We should avoid plagiarism. It is dangerous. All the effort will be lost. So we should not copy and paste from references. We should paraphrase. We should write what is written in these references in our own words, but we should keep the figures. We should restructure the sentences, but we should keep the figures. But all the time we have to add the citation number. We had to add the citation number to avoid plagiarism. How to paraphrase? And this is a very nice practical exercise. Practical drill can be done by a single person or 2 or maximum 3 persons. They can sit together in one occasion, or say twice a week or every second week. They can sit together and they define a certain paragraph from a reference. They read it, then they read it again, then they quote, if there are figures, they quote the figures and write it in a piece of paper. After reading that paragraph twice, then they have to close the manuscript from which they have read the paragraph, and they should reproduce what they have introduced and write it down. Then they have to insert the figures in their places. After that, the 2 or 3 persons sitting together should exchange their ideas, what they have written with each other, and then they discuss what has been written and what was the best way of writing, paraphrasing, changing the structure of the sentences, but keeping the figures, keeping the meaning. Doing this exercise 2, 3, 4 times, then one will find it very easy to paraphrase any sentence and to restructure any sentence and to produce the same idea, but in his or her own words. The same thing, read the statement in a piece of paper, write the figures, hide the source, then write in your own words what you have understood and insert the figures in their place, and then compare the results and discuss. Now let us take some examples of paraphrasing, because this is very important to avoid plagiarism. Like this statement. This is a quotation because it is written between quotation marks. The quotation marks are these inverted commas, and the statement is written in between, ended with a full stop. And at its extreme end is written the citation number and the page number from where we extracted. We got this quotation, which is written exactly as it was written in the original reference. It is a quotation between quotation marks, in which it was written, a rates of surgical site infection ranged from 2% to 5% in clean surgery. Then the citation number and the page number. If you want to paraphrase this and structure this sentence, we can change the word rate. We can say the incidence or the prevalence of surgical site infection. And instead of writing range from 2 to 5%, we can say varies between 2 to 5%. And instead of writing clean surgery, we can say clean operations or clean surgical procedures. And let us also have another paraphrasing. We can start with surgical site infection. The original statement, the quotation, started with rates of surgical site infection. Now we can start with surgical site infections occurs in 2 to 5% of cases classified as clean surgery or clean surgical procedures or clean wounds. Also, we can write following clean surgical procedures. We can start from bottom to the top, from the end to the top, to the beginning. Following clean surgical procedures, surgical site infections falls between 2 to 5%. Then we write the citations. When we write in our own words, we should not write the page numbers. We write only the citation number as a suprascript that jumps on the top of the lines. How to do that? In the menu, you can find 2x, 1x with a number at its top near the right side, and another x with a number written at its bottom on the right, on its right side. So we can just highlight the figure 1 and click X with the number at its top, number on its right side. When we click it, it will just jump and become a superscript. If this is not found in the menu, we can press on a Control Shift and plus together. These 3 keys, we press them, Control Shift plus together, one will jump as a superscript. I hope this is clear. Let us go on again another example of paraphrasing restructuring of sentences. We would like to change the style of this quotation, which is written between quotation marks. And it is quotation because it is between quotation marks and it is followed by the citation number and the page numbers. It says dengue fever double the risk of plasma leakage. Now we would like to restructure this, to paraphrase these words. Dengue fever can be dengue infection or infection with dengue virus, right? So we can write infection with dengue virus, double the probability. Instead of writing the risk, we can say the probability of plasma leakage. And then we write the citation number. No need for page number because this is in our own words, but the concept is the concept of the reference, those who wrote the reference. So we acknowledge them, we write their citation number. We can write also according to Ali et al. Means there are more than 3 persons here. And then the citation number as superscript, comma, plasma leakage is doubled in patients affected by dengue fever or dengue infection or dengue viral infection. Also, I would like to stop here at one thing. In the quotation, we have written the page numbers. It can be written like in our previous example, without parentheses, without brackets. And in the same line of the other, what is written in the same line, and the superscript has jumped up as a superscript. Or we can include the page number again as a superscript, and we can put them inside brackets or inside parentheses. The parentheses are these curved lines, and now the manuscript introduction, as I said, it usually contains about 2 or 3, maximum 5 recent authentic citations from which we synthesize the knowledge gap. While in the thesis, it can be up to 15 citations. We should avoid quotations. And if we wrote too much of quotations, if this copy and paste, it is all made as quotations, this will reflect that you are not capable of writing mastery piece of medical literature. You are not capable of synthesizing literature. This will reflect your weakness. So better to avoid writing things between quotation marks. And as I said, copy-paste is plagiarism. You are going to lose your work and to be offensive on your side. Now, the quotation, usually we do it for formal statements or for specific definitions or guidelines, or specific guidelines, name of specific guidelines, or we extract the same words and put them between quotation marks, and we add as a superscript the quotation, the citation number, and by its right side we write the page number, whether in the same line for writing or as a superscript, just freely or being bound by parentheses or brackets. And here is an example. For example, this statement, declaration from the WHO, they defined the quality health. What is the quality health care? What is it? They said quality health care comprises safe, effective, people-centered, and integrated service. And this is quality health service. Since this is a quotation, it is between quotation marks, these inverted commas, and following that we have written the citation number and the page number. Do not italicize names. Do not write them inclined to one side. Keep the digits erect. Keep the figures erect. Keep the writing erect. Do not make it inclined to one side. Do not italicize them, particularly the names followed by ital or ital. Do not italicize them. And if you copy and paste, it is plagiarism. Your work will be refused. And if you omit the quotations, as if you are telling the reader that these are your own words, so it is again plagiarism. The name followed the text. It can be in the beginning of the text, or it can follow the text and then the superscript. If we write the name, it should be the family name, the surname. We should not add the initials of the first name. We should not write, do not write Ali M.A. Write just Ali and superscript. Or Ali Ital superscript. Do not write the initials of the first names. Either you say Ali Ital found or Ali found, or you write the statement as reported by Ali and then you write the superscript. And since it is in your own words, no need for page numbers. Writing citations is very important. Paraphrasing is a rule. If you do not paraphrase it and you copy and paste, it is plagiarism, and you will lose your work and it will be offensive and it will be rejected. And copy and paste without quotation marks, again, it is quotations. Particularly, we said if it is a specific statement and you did not put the quotation marks, it will be considered as plagiarism, as if you are telling that you have made this quotation, not the WHO. And too many quotations will weaken your manuscript or will weaken your thesis, because it denotes, it shows, it reflects failure of your capability to synthesize the literature. Failure of your capability to write a masterpiece of scientific work. You should write it in your own words, but keep the idea for the persons who wrote the reference and write as a superscript the citation number to acknowledge them. So it is plagiarism. It is plagiarism if you copy the words or ideas without mentioning the source. And even if you paraphrase these words without mentioning the source, again, it is plagiarism. And if you mention the source but copy and paste, it is plagiarism. You have to paraphrase. You write in your own words and you add the citation number to acknowledge the owner of the concept, the owner of the idea. If you copy a quotation, like the WHO quotation, and you did not put the quotation marks, it is plagiarism, as if you are telling the reader these are your own words. Now, it is a poor practice if you copy the exact words and you mention the source. You mention the source as a superscript without quotation marks. It is poor practice and it is plagiarism. You should paraphrase, restructure sentences, the rule. Paraphrase, restructure the sentence, keep the figures as they are, then you are safe. Now we are coming to the end and how to end writing the introduction. The research question should be written clearly. It is a central issue that the study is going to answer, and the objectives should be SMART. As I said, should be specific, measurable, attainable, achievable, reliable, relevant, can be reproduced if the study is repeated in the same environment, and they have a time limit to be executed. And at the extreme end, you can just write the type of the study is retrospective or prospective or whatever type of study you have chosen. Here I will show you some checklists, and we better all the time to have a checklist for your introduction because it is foundational, as I said. Is the literature focused? Is it recent? Is it authentic? Is it written in your own words? Is it cited? The citation numbers are written correctly? Now, does the knowledge gap justify the study? Have you written a clear rationale and justification and significance, who is going to benefit? And did you write the main question of the study and the objectives are written as SMART objectives? And I would like to ask at the end of this session, if the question of your study has been clearly and plainly and widely explained and answered, why should you do that study? Why should you do a study which has got a very clear answer? Why should you do it? One of the reasons, at least in our setup to do it, is to reflect to the knowledgeable society, to the scientific community, what is happening in Sudan during wartime in the surgical services. This is a gap in the international literature. What is happening in Sudan amid war, and in what capacity, and what are the outcomes of our practice can be accepted. I think this is the only answer I can find for repeating a study. To this end, I will stop and see you in another video, in another topic.